Today, we're diving into a story that's about 2,500 years old, but honestly, it feels like it could have been written yesterday. We're talking about Sophocles' masterpiece, Antigone. It's a story that rises from the ashes of a brutal civil war, and it all boils down to one single, impossible choice. Do you follow the law of the state, or do you follow the laws of your heart and your faith? So before we get into it, let me ask you this. Where does your ultimate loyalty lie? Seriously, think about it. Is it with your family, your country, your God? This is the exact question Antigone throws at us, and it shows, in devastating detail, what happens when those loyalties go to war with each other. Okay, so let's break this down. The whole story is basically a head-on collision between two powerful, unmoving forces. On one side, you've got loyalty to your family and the ancient, sacred laws of the gods, these deep, timeless duties. And on the other side, you have the brand new law of a king who is just desperately trying to pull his war-torn city back together. The story kicks off in the city of Thebes, and things are grim. A nasty civil war has just ended. The two sons of the disgraced former king, Oedipus, were on opposite sides, fighting for the throne. And in the final battle in this awful, tragic duel, they killed each other. The city itself is saved, but the royal family is shattered. Now, to really get what's going on, you kind of need the backstory on this deeply cursed family. It all starts with their father, Oedipus. Remember him. He was the guy in that horrible prophecy who was fated to kill his own dad and marry his mom. Well, he did it, all without realizing it. And when he found out the truth, he blinded himself and went into exile. This left a huge power vacuum. His two sons went to war for the crown, and now they're both dead. This is the tragic mess that Antigone is born into. So, with both brothers gone, their uncle, Creon, steps up and takes the throne. Job one for him, restoring order at any cost. But his very first act as king sets him on a collision course with his niece, Antigone, because she lives by a completely different set of rules. Creon's first decree is a savvy political move. He decides to turn Eteocles, the brother who died defending Thebes, into a national hero. He's to be given a massive state funeral with full military honors. You know, a way to build morale and start healing the city. Seems logical, right? But there's a flip side, a really brutal one. For the other brother, Polynices, the one who attacked the city, the punishment is unthinkable. His body is to be left to rot in the open field for the dogs and vultures to pick apart. Creon is sending a crystal clear message. This is what happens to traitors, no exceptions. And this one line, it tells you everything you need to know about this guy. For Creon, the state is the ultimate authority, and he is the state. His word is law. End of discussion. Personal feelings, family bonds, none of that matters when it comes to the stability of his kingdom. But Antigone sees this completely differently. For her, Creon's law isn't just cruel, it's blasphemy. It's a man's law spitting in the face of something much, much older and more powerful, the unwritten, eternal laws of the gods. And you've got to understand, for the ancient Greeks, burial wasn't just a nice thing to do. It was a sacred, non-negotiable duty. They believed that without a proper burial, a soul was doomed to wander the earth forever, never finding peace in the afterlife. So denying burial wasn't just disrespectful, it was condemning someone's spirit to eternal torment. It was a crime against the entire cosmic order. This quote from Antigone just gives you chills, right? It perfectly captures her mindset. She knows that defying Creon means death, but in her mind, breaking his law is a holy crime. She's betting that the demands of the afterlife last a lot longer than the whims of any king. She's choosing eternity over her own life. And this is it. This is the point of no return, where these two unbending, absolute wills are about to smash into each other. Antigone is determined to act, and Creon is a ruler who absolutely cannot and will not tolerate being defied. So, knowing exactly what's coming, Antigone sneaks out to the battlefield. She can't give her brother a full burial, but she performs a ritual. She sprinkles dust over his body. It's enough. Of course, she's caught immediately by the guards and dragged right in front of the furious King Creon. And she doesn't even flinch. So when they finally face off, it's like two different universes colliding. Antigone basically tells him, "Your little law is meaningless compared to the eternal justice of the gods." But for Creon, this isn't about theology, it's about power. He sees it as a direct threat to his authority, his manhood, the entire order he's trying to build. If he lets a young woman defy him, his rule is over before it's even begun. So how does this one standoff spiral into absolute, total catastrophe for everyone involved? Well, to understand that, we have to look at the classic formula for a Greek tragedy. It's a powerful blueprint where a great person is brought down, not by an enemy, but by a flaw deep inside themselves. And at the heart of every great tragedy is the tragic hero. Now, this isn't some mustache-twirling villain. This is usually a noble person, someone in a position of power whose own downfall is triggered by a major error in judgment or a weakness in their character. And that weakness has a special name, hamartia. You can think of it as the tragic flaw. It's that one blind spot, that one crack in their otherwise noble character, like excessive pride or stubbornness, that ultimately leads to their ruin. Now, here's what makes this play so brilliant. You can make a strong case that both Creon and Antigone are tragic heroes. Creon's fatal flaw is his hubris, his arrogant, unshakable pride that makes him ignore warnings from everyone. And Antigone? Her flaw is her own righteous, unbending stubbornness. She's so convinced she's right that she never even considers another way forward besides martyrdom. And this is where it all comes crashing down. Creon, ignoring all pleas, sentences Antigone to be sealed up in a cave to starve. But when his son, Haman, who's also Antigone's fiancé, rushes to save her, he finds she's already hanged herself. Overcome with grief and rage at his father, Haman kills himself right there. And when the news reaches the palace, Creon's wife, Queen Eurydice, walks away in silence and takes her own life too, cursing her husband with her dying breath. So after all that tragedy, why are we still talking about this play 2,500 years later? Because its central dilemma never, ever gets old. It's about the individual conscience versus the power of the state. It's about civil disobedience. It's about when, if ever, it's right to break the law. These are questions we are still wrestling with every single day. In the end, Creon does realize he was wrong. The gods send a prophet who finally gets through to him, and he frantically rushes to free Antigone. But he's too late. And his punishment isn't death. No, it's much worse. He is left completely alone. A king with a crown and a palace, but he's lost his son, his wife, his niece, his entire future. All because his pride wouldn't let him bend until it was too late to matter. And that brings us right back to that impossible question the play refuses to answer for us. Who was right? Was it Antigone, who broke the law for a higher moral cause? Or was it Creon, who enforced that law to maintain order in a fragile state? The genius of this play is that it doesn't give us an easy answer. It just leaves us with the question.